Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Can I ask you to take a seat? Thank you all for coming. Welcome to Liobek Temple's 77th Annual Meeting. This is the last official meeting for our current Board of Trustees, and as provided by our bylaws and our tradition, we invite the entire congregation to come down to see what's going on, and really, it's just another good chance to brag a little bit about Liobek Temple. So thank you all for coming. We are going to start this evening with a Devar Torah, and I call up our own Rabbi Ken Chasen.
That's more than it deserves. Okay, it's always a rough start when the first thing you hear before you've even gotten rolling is, don't fall asleep. So I'm trying not to take this personally. I probably should just proceed to taking it personally. That would be probably a more honest reaction. In any event, we are really grateful to see you all here. It is a time of extraordinary chaos. More generally in the world around us on so many different fronts, but it would be impossible for us to gather for our congregation's annual meeting, which, as Todd indicated, is a legal function required of any nonprofit, the shareholders having an opportunity to participate in the business of the congregation. It is in our bylaws that you need to be here in order for us to proceed with the work that we do, and it needs to be announced far in advance so that you have proper notice. All of those functions are a part of how no one can predict when the night actually comes that we would be conducting this business at this moment in our city, where the eyes of the country and really the world are trained on Los Angeles here and trying to figure out how to make heads or tails of what we are seeing, what its implications are, and what our part is in meeting this moment. Many of you have likely followed just because of our bombardment of you with emails. We did not expect to have to bombard you with emails. We thought we were sending out one email that was going to announce that there was a vigil taking place downtown that was to celebrate interfaith community across lines of difference, to do so in a prayer-centered event that would be entirely peaceful, that would be not about rally signs, but instead would be about religious practice, about clergy people in their religious garb across different kinds of strands of tradition. We notified you about that, and then very quickly notified you that it was going to be postponed, and had no way to know for sure that it was going to take place on this night, but that already kind of seemed like the leading candidate as we were busy postponing, and already I was feeling a pain in my stomach, not just because we would have to hit you with still more emails, but because so many of us would like to be there. I was actually following some of the vigil online, and I'm happy to report that at least until I had to jump off and come here to join all of you, it was both peaceful and inspiring. It was there was a good turnout, as we would have been a part of that if it were last night or tomorrow night. But a wonderful turnout of the other communities in the LA Voice Network, our interfaith partnership. Beautiful, inspiring words, and I believe a moment of healing for those who are participating. And I know there are many of you who are here tonight who would have been there if this meeting were not taking place tonight. And I want to say thank you to those of you who are here and would like to be there. That includes me, and that doesn't mean that I don't like coming to our annual meeting. I actually love coming to our annual meeting, especially when there's, parts of the meeting have to do with the appointing new leaders and celebrating folks who are taking new roles, guiding our community. All of that is a reason for celebrating. And of course, the telling of the story of the year that has passed and what lies ahead in our congregation. All of this, frankly, is energizing. But with all that said, I would rather be there than here. And I know that's true of a number of you, and you are here. And so I'm really deeply grateful for that. I promised in one of the 5,000 emails you received about all of this that tonight, one of the changes we were going to make to our plans for this evening would be that the remarks that I had prepared, which really I was asked to offer a prayer. And when I dug down into what that request was, I asked whether I could do some teaching in there as well. And the answer was, yeah, it should feel as a whole that it was a prayerful experience, but okay for us to learn what Judaism says about moments such as this. And so that is what I prepared. And in one of the email messages that went out, I think 11 o'clock or something like that today, I indicated that we had rerouted our plan, that the Devar Torah, the study time that we would spend tonight, would be devoted to what is happening in our city, the words that I was going to share there, and just an opportunity for all of us to kind of sit with this reality such that we're not gathering for this meeting that is going to be a full immersion in temple business and kind of ignoring the elephant in the room, or the elephant in our city, as it were. And so because these words are words of prayer and also words of teaching from the Jewish tradition, I would like for us to join together in blessing them. Many of you are familiar with the traditional blessing that sanctifies the study that we do with one another as the fulfillment of a mitzvah. It has the same formula that all mitzvah-related blessings have. They all start with the traditional formula, and then they end with Asher Kitshana b'mitzvotav vitzivanu, and then fill in the blank, what the mitzvah is. And so most of you are already familiar with that whole formula. The fill in the blank part is la'asok b'divrei Torah. For those who are not Hebraicists, I always like to say the words literally mean the mitzvah is to immerse ourselves in Torah learning, in learning from our tradition. And the Hebrew word that means to immerse is la'asok, as in soak, like immerse. So if that helps you to remember as the Hebrew comes by, for those who are Hebraicists, good for you. But for those who are not, that might help you to remember that the ending of the bracha is la'asok b'divrei Torah. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen. Thank you. So had this event taken place on Sunday, or had our meeting not been taking place tonight, these are the words that I would have been sharing with our interfaith community. Holy One of blessing, whose presence fills all of creation, hear the cries of the vulnerable and the hunted in our city. Feel the dread that fills so many souls on this night. Send your light of compassion. Inspire us to be your light of compassion for those afraid for their lives, their homes, their families, their faith in the fairness of this land. And as mistrust turns into fear, and fear into hatred, and hatred into inhumanity, cause us to cleave to your teaching that we are all created in your image, each and every soul, with no exceptions, and therefore all entitled to the dignity that we associate with the divine. Our Torah is filled with mitzvot, with commandments, but none appears more frequently or more urgently than the command of ahavat ger, the command to love the stranger who resides in our midst. 36 times, the Torah implores us to love those most likely to be cast out as the stranger. For we were strangers in the land of Egypt, and so we know the plight of those cast out as strangers. Chased out of far too many lands to count across centuries, we Jews understand the terror that has overtaken the souls of our brown-skinned neighbors, of all faiths and of no faith. That terror is not selective, and it does not distinguish between citizens and legal residents and undocumented immigrants. It is a plague upon everyone who might be taken by those possessing power to look like they could be here illegally, which is the textbook definition of racism. The Jewish conscience does not permit silence in a city where brown-skinned citizens won't set foot outside their homes without their passports, lest they be detained unless they can show their papers. This we Jews understand far too well. The Jewish legal tradition also teaches the principle of dina de malchuta dina. That is, the law of the land is the law. It is a Jewish religious obligation to be a law-abiding citizen in whatever land a Jew lives. Yes, this pertains to the matter of entering and remaining in the land legally. And it also pertains to those who protest. When the law is violated in the streets, it is considered also a violation of Judaism, which is one reason among many why this was to be spoken to our gathering on Sunday, why we are here to join in prayer and solidarity, de-escalation and fellowship, and in rejection of violence. For this is the path to peace. But dina de malchuta dina also pertains to the government, because loyalty to the law of the land is a two-way street. We are called to be law-abiding as citizens and residents, and those who possess power in our country are called no less to be law-abiding in the use of their power. Where the government flaunts its disdain for the law, so will the people. The people of Los Angeles and of this country need and deserve better. El Harachaman, merciful God, who hears the cry of every human in distress, we lift our voices to you in despair and in yearning. Strengthen us as we unite to eschew violence and lawlessness, no matter who engages in it. Lift up our call for reconciliation in our shattered city. Hear our plea for those in America who are justifiably afraid for their lives, simply because of the color of their skin. And bring about a reckoning of our national conscience over our descent into moral decay. And fundamental to it all, summon from us our better angels, the corner of our spirits that cannot tolerate a blameless child quaking in fear, the corner of our spirits that will not look upon another with causeless contempt, the corner of our spirits that honors your presence in every living being. And let us build a Los Angeles, an America, a world worthy of your light. Amen. I want to invite you to just sit with those words of prayer and the teachings, which are complex and whose application to a moment such as this are complex. I'm going to pass out the text so that whether you want to refer to it again tonight, whether you want to just take it home and have it, or whether you would choose to leave it on your seat, all of this is fine. But I want you to have the opportunity to have these words. And after, thank you. I'll take actually some of them. How about that? Thank you. After we've had the opportunity, everybody just to receive a copy of this, I want to invite, if anyone here, this is not Doesn't have to be a long and complicated conversation, but I recognize how heavy our hearts are. All of us are looking at what is taking place in our city right now, and we are wrestling with what our place is in this story. And if you're being together in religious community on this night, albeit for a business meeting, but one that always starts with immersion in words of Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, this will be an opportunity to speak your heart. If there's anything that you need to be able to say, because it will bring you some comfort to have enabled the other members of your shared community to help you hold it, this will be an opportunity to do so. And the only thing that I ask is that we speak for ourselves as opposed to for the collective. It's just so important that we recognize the diversity of experience that exists in a congregation in a broad community like ours. And so what is true for you, what your pain is, what you wish to do, all of this can and should be framed as your words, but not on behalf of everybody else. That's be the one thing that I ask. And it's certainly okay also just to sit with those words and to sit with the images that have been bombarding us on our televisions and on the internet and in the news, and to simply just be. But this is an opportunity for those whose hearts need to be heard.
Thank you. I'm really concerned about my child, who's a brown-colored child, and when he comes back to town, what do I tell him, and do I lock him up so he can't go out, and just not to risk for him to get picked up? And I don't know. I have all these concerns, but I don't have any answers, and I'd love to have some sort of guidance, but we know the politics are unpredictable, so we have no idea what's going to happen. But even though we live in a nice neighborhood, just the color of the skin makes a huge difference. So I don't know. This is all I wanted to voice.
I saw your hand, but you're no.
So I think we know how to behave towards each other, but I don't know how to deal with the situation. I find myself feeling pretty much hopeless about having an impact on the situation as a whole, and I wonder if there's some suggestions in the audience as to what we can do as individuals.
I'll say that I hope we know how to behave toward one another. That's something that we are slipping on as a people and as people.
A couple comments. First of all, I'm very angry, and dealing with that anger is something that I'm struggling with. Jody Litvak, who used to be a member of this congregation, shared with a group of us the other day that if 1% of the population consistently demonstrates, nothing happens. But in history, it's been shown that when 2.5% of people consistently demonstrate and are out there, governments fall. And so what we have to do is we have to be a speck in demonstrations. We just got to be that pixel there, and there will be opportunities this weekend. There are opportunities, and I'm trying to work with Jody to come up with a constant list of people can do that. Doesn't I mean when I get these things that I can do, when I'm not doing them, I feel guilty, and you just can't feel guilty. You can't do everything, but you have to do everything that's possible. So, For example, our walking group is changing its walk this weekend so that we're going to do our Sunday walk, which is on the beach, that's going to end up at a place in Santa Monica that has No Kings demonstration. So we have to do it. The other thing that I do, because of the type of business that I'm in, I talk to a lot of people in different areas of the country, a lot of MAGA people or customers of mine. And I talk to them all the time. It's right, and we just have to talk to the other people. It's hard, and it's getting harder. My wife doesn't understand it at all. But you have to talk to these people. And when I talk to them about the fact that I'm a Jew, because I'm probably one of the only Jews that they know. And I talk about our history. And I talk about my father liberating Dachau and things like this, and what our experience and how important pluralistic society is to our safety. So those are some of my things that I'm doing, suggestions.
Stan, your question is the one that I think is on so many minds and hearts right now, and Dan, I think, began to answer it. It is true that it sometimes feels futile to be a part of, and please God, peaceful protest. Violating the law in the name of protest is violating the law. But to take responsibility as citizens, Dina de Malchuta Dina, it is a Jewish principle to be a loyal, active, law-abiding, dedicated citizen in the land in which you live. That's not seen as a secular enterprise. That's actually seen as the fulfillment of a principle that appears again and again in the Shulchan Aruch, the most fundamental code of Jewish law. And so, also a great thing for you to do as an American and as a Los Angelino, but great thing for you to do as a Jew. I want to emphasize, as I think I did in the message that you received a little earlier today, tonight is one action by LA Voice, which is our interfaith body that Leo Back Temple is a member of. There are other synagogues locally that are a part of LA Voice. There are lots of churches and mosques that are a part of LA Voice. And LA Voice is just getting warmed up right now with regard to enabling us across lines of race and class and socioeconomics and geography to be able to speak as one Los Angeles when it comes to our highest ambitions for the city in which we live. I recognize that there's a bit of soul paralysis as we gather on this evening, and so I wanted to conclude our time together because had we been downtown, we would have been engaging in prayer all throughout, all of the speakers lined up, other than the folks who were sprinkled in to tell stories, specific stories about their family, their life, what has taken place, which of course ultimately brings the humanity to what seems like just a political issue unless you are directly involved in encountering the humans who are directly affected. I'd like for us to, as we began in prayer, to conclude in prayer. So many of you know that in the book of Psalms, the psalmist was very wise in suggesting that we would need the guidance and inspiration. Some of you talked about seeking, wanting, hungering for guidance. The book of Psalms really is designed as a guidance book. How do we respond as humans when we face the defining moments of emotional peril in our lives? Grief, loss, injury, illness, instability, moments of fear and questioning. The psalmist taught, Olam chesed yibaneh, sought to inspire us by saying that we will build a world of love. That if we could fly up to the emotional and spiritual level where we truly wish to reside, in our lives and look at all of humanity, look at the common story of how much more unites us than divides us, that we would be able to participate in the building of a world defined by that which we want to fill our lives, as opposed to that which so often does. Love. Olam chesed yibaneh. I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Many of you already know how to sing this, but if not, a friend of mine wrote this little melody, and it's about as accessible as you could possibly get. So if you're finding it difficult to jump in and start singing with us, that will not be the case by the time that we're ended. I hope that every voice will lift up this sentiment in song. Olam chesed yibaneh. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. Olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai. Yararai, Olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, yararai. I love how this song, this prayer is constructed by its architect to almost convince ourselves in a moment of doubt. I will build this world from love, almost a mantra. Second, a command to the other. You must build this world from love. And third, when the doubt comes in and creeps to take over your soul, the question, if we build this world from love, well, that's how God will build this world from love. We cannot wait for supernatural intervention. We must be the place of God's voice in moments like this. I will build this world from love. I will build this world from love. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. And you must build this world. And you must build this world from love. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. For if we build this world from love, or if we build this world from love, yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai, then God will build, this world from love. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, olam chesed yibaneh, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai, olam chesed yibaneh. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai. Let's hear our voices only. I will build this world from love. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. And you must build this world from love. Yararai, rai, rai, yararai, rai. For if we build this world from love, ya-da-da, da-da, ya-da-da, then God will build.
Seems like it's part of my job to always follow Rabbi Chasen. Thank you for your powerful words at an important time. Okay, temple business. The minutes from the 76th annual meeting were circulated prior to the meeting. I know you all had a chance to review them carefully. Did anybody have any corrections that they wanted to add? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you all for your careful review. 2024-2025 proved to be a challenging year for the Jewish people. Happily, it was a beautiful year to be part of Leobeck Temple. I have always declared that part of my intent as the president of this synagogue was to not break something that worked so well. And with the support of an amazing team of clergy and Abigail and incredible lay leaders, together we did just that. So this is the part of the evening where I remind you about the year that we had. Let's start with some of the hard parts. I started my presidency just before October 7th, a date which changed the Jewish landscape. We never dreamed that 2 years later we'd still be dealing with this and still be talking about this, that we'd still be talking about increasing anti-Semitism, and it's only continued. And we sit and we watch the news in terror. As recently as just last week, we watched as there was another U.S. attack on Jews in Boulder, Colorado. Unless you think those attacks are not too close to home, my own son just graduated from CU Boulder last year. But rest assured that at Leobeck Temple, we take security incredibly seriously. The most important rule of security is that we never talk about security. That's part of why it works so well. Without talking about security, I want to give a special acknowledgement and thanks tonight to our security team, headed up by Kevin Espinoza, George, Raymond, and Nick, who keep us safe. Thank you to them. We got Kevin. Coping with hatred in the world around us, we have had many special services this year and more town hall meetings to help us cope with the changes in the world. We've had far too many special messages from our senior rabbi trying to reconcile what is happening in the world. But most importantly, through all of it, we were there for each other and we supported each other in dealing with the impact that all of us feel because we are Jewish. Other things that happened this year. On January 7th, Los Angeles experienced a windstorm different from anything we have had in the past. Oh, it's on its own. In the morning around 10:30 near Skull Rock Trailhead, fire broke out. That fire spread quickly. Originally, evacuation orders included Pacific Palisades, and Malibu extending to Brentwood and Santa Monica by January 10th, including Tarzana and Encino. We all learned about this new app called Watch Duty, and we stared at our phones like that could help. We had a large number of our congregation evacuated from their homes. The Torahs were evacuated in an abundance of caution and returned when it was safe. We had a tremendous number of our congregation open their home to other Leo Beckers who were evacuated by the fire. And we had a large number of those members only come to learn that they too were soon to be evacuated. In fact, our campus itself was under an evacuation order. We watched as the wind shifted and the threat shifted, and then on January 22nd, when we thought we were under control, fire broke out just half a mile from here. The Torahs were evacuated again, and we watched, and thanks to the fire department, that fire was contained by the middle of the night. Evacuation orders varied. Some people were out of their home for days, for other it was for months. And Leo Beck Temple was there. 13 Leo Beck Temple families lost homes in the fire. And we have been there for those families and those impacted by the fires, providing emotional support and financial support, housing, meals, whatever we could. We worked with the Jewish Federation to facilitate collecting and distributing Judaica items for those that lost everything. We are hosting B'nai Mitzvah for KI families, and we've made our campus available to them. We bought mezuzahs and cloths in Israel, and we are providing them to our families that are starting over. And LBT was impacted by the fire. When the power was out, our fire alarm was damaged. Our trustees came together to deal with the problem that we had in getting a replacement fire panel. And they were very involved in that process. When that panel was damaged and we didn't have that fire protection, we were on fire watch. We had a person on campus 24 hours a day to make sure that the temple was safe. And we had to remain on fire watch for, turns out, 1 Omer. 49 days.
Go, Todd.
Look at that.
Please join me in a round of applause.
All those years of religious school. You will see the impact that this had on our budget. But most importantly, through the fires, we were there for each other and we supported each other. Other big events this year marked the inauguration of a new U.S. president, and this has certainly impacted our community. Well, Leo Beck Temple has many liberal members. That is not what defines us. We have many conservative members as well. To say we are a temple of Democrats is a disservice to who we are and ignores our own diversity. But more than ever, this political climate has brought division. How many people have you heard say, oh, we can't talk about politics in our home? It's too hard. We needed some help with civility and compassion and communication. And Leo Beck Temple was there for that also. Leo Beck Temple brought us together to help us communicate with each other, to help us understand each other, including a special series on agreeing to disagree, taught by our own Rabbi Scott Goldberg, to help us hear each other and to find common ground. And most importantly, we were there for each other and we supported each other. Not everything that happened during the year was difficult. This year marks the resuming of temple trips. This December, I hope you'll consider joining Allison Lee and our own Rabbi Ken Chasen in Argentina. It's going to be a spectacular trip. Okay, let's talk Torah for a minute. It's an amazing thing. No matter where you go, if you go to another Reformed synagogue, you're with your people. And you know the prayers, and you can join right in, and everything is familiar. You just step right in. And then, as is the tradition of our people, we gather after the services, and we have some of the worst coffee ever made. And there's a reason for this. as it says in Leviticus. And you shall appoint the assembly and provide for them bad coffee in abundance, as is fitting for their number. You can translate it. And no matter where you go, we Jews share this bond. Much like Kinniyot on Passover, modern Reformed Jews have retranslated this text. You shall use care to serve delicious hot coffee and other treats. Change does not happen overnight, but please pay attention during the year as we experiment and find the perfect coffee.
I do want to interrupt. The Hebrew is correct. It says the Hebrew. I was assuming I was going to bust him and go, but that's not what the Hebrew. He changed the Hebrew.
Yeah. So we'll be changing blends until we find the perfect recipe. Look for signs that tell you what coffee we're serving. If you have any comments regarding the coffee, my first favor to you is, don't talk to Abigail about it. But do come talk to me. I would love to talk to you about the coffee. You can email me, president@leobecktemple.org. If you want to be involved and help with the process of finding the perfect coffee, Leo Beck Temple will again be a role model for temples everywhere. We had other good things during the year. Our membership, currently 463 families, that's 20 new families this year. That's outstanding growth for a temple in 2025. We also had a big year for fundraising. Last month at our annual Spring Gala, Heroes and Angels, we honored past President Dan Giesberg, along with the co-founders of our Hesed program, Elizabeth Jacobs, Jill Helper, and Lisa Hillman. It was a fantastic evening honoring well-deserved honorees and very successful in raising money for the temple. Thank you to Wendy Glickman. Where'd you go? Our Heroes and Angels chair, along with the committee, Jill Taylor, Scott Greenberg, Tammy Bloomfield, Larry Sterling, and Drew Davis. Your generosity for annual giving was remarkable. Our annual giving campaign exceeded our expectations and was an important part of keeping Leo Beck Temple running, with special thanks to our Vice President of Development, Brandon Koritz, and Jesse Israel. Thank you for all your hard work. This year, Leo Beck Temple adopted its first congregational code of ethics. Although Leo Beck Temple has always had a culture of respect, there have been synagogues that have had problems, and the URJ has encouraged all congregations to adopt a code of ethics. And we were proud to make a formal statement of who we are and to be in line with the broader Jewish community. So we now have a set of rules formalizing our obligation to treat each other with respect and concern that has always been the hallmark of who we are at Leo Beck Temple. This year also marked the formal completion and opening of our memorial garden. After a lot of COVID construction delays, we officially got it done. The plaques are up and the garden is well used. It is a Leo Beck Temple one of a kind, but no doubt is a model that will be adopted across the country. It is truly a gift to our community. It is part of our home and filled with our history and the memories of people that are so important to us. We are not a temple of buildings. We are a community of people. And every step you take in that garden reminds us of how fortunate we are to have had so many caring people in our lives and how much they contributed to Leo Beck Temple and to help shape us. So some good things came out of COVID. How about Kesher Circles? The program continues strong with over 160 participants. Who would have ever guessed that Leo Beckers would enjoy connection? I hope you will join us for a special celebration Shabbat on June 20th. Bring your own picnic at 6:15, services at 7:30. If you are not currently in a Kesher Circle, now is the time. Please come find out more. We would love to have you join us. It was also a big year for our COLT, Community Organizing Leadership Team. There was a tremendous nonpartisan get out the vote effort. Our people got together and prepared thousands of postcards. Religious school families joined with our community of engagement and co-hosted a cross-generational event, doing thousands of postcards, and hundreds of Leo Beckers participated. And for the first time, we took a group and we traveled. We took 60 people to Las Vegas to canvass, focusing on reproductive justice. A special thank you to Tim Shaheen for your leadership. Some other really great things that make this year special. I am very pleased and proud to report to you that we completed 2 clergy contracts this year, renewing our contract with our own amazing Sarah Haas and our assistant, soon-to-be associate rabbi, Scott Goldberg. Thank you to our personnel committee headed by our own immediate past president, Iris Weinman. I am thrilled to report that we will be fortunate enough to have them both for the next 5 years. And this is a good time to take a moment and really appreciate how fortunate we are to have such an amazing clergy team. Thank you all. So we have been very intentional this year about meeting our congregation at every stage of life, especially when there's so much happening in the world. So let's talk about it. We'll start with the oldest. We'll work our way to the youngest. We'll start with COE, a robust group that meets people in this stage of life and reminds us that community matters and can be life-saving. They are larger and more active than ever, larger in number, not size. They have 2 great upcoming events. June 11th is the Wednesdays at the Temple program at 10 o'clock with our own Dr. Stephen Windmuller. It'll be both in-person and streamed. Why Here, Why Now? Unpacking the New Anti-Semitism. In addition, on June 12th from 12 to 2, we'll have a special screening of the documentary All God's Children, followed by a discussion with the filmmaker Andi Timoner and Rabbi Rachel Timoner. And remind me, how old do you have to be to go to a COE event? What's that cutoff age? Oh, it's open to everybody. The COE does a great job of coming up with amazing events and hosting them, but they are open to everybody and you should consider attending. Our Managing the Marathon continues to go strong, a place of connection and support for our sandwich generation, the vision of our own Louis Wilkenfeld. We continue to reach out to young families. We have restructured our dues model this year to help reduce barriers to membership. We have switched to a sustainable dues model for families under 40. Ensuring that we live by our policy that membership will never be denied to anybody based on financial need. Our 20s and 30s group continues. It is common wisdom in the Jewish community that 20s and 30s groups just don't work. When I told this to our Vice President of Engagement, Stephanie Cohen, she quickly told me she didn't care. LBT was going to do it. And we did, and she was right. It continues to go strong. I will add that for this group, we do not require that you be a Temple member, but we are attracting young Jews from all over Los Angeles, and it's a terrific program. Our college, thank you to Scott Goldberg for his amazing work on the 20s and 30s group. You really keep it going. Our college engagement program focuses on college students, which has really continued out of necessity. Sadly, this is often where anti-Semitism strikes the hardest. And it can be shocking to kids, especially who grew up in the love and protection of Leo Beck Temple. We send swag and care packages to them this year, including really cute pajama pants. In the spring, we involved the parents who came together and prepared special Purim care packages, keeping the family in the loop. At winter break, Rabbi Chasen and Rabbi Bernie host college students to keep them connected, and that's amazingly well attended. And it's fantastic that maintaining a connection with Leo Beck Temple remains so important to our college kids. Our religious school is going strong. Leo Beck Temple has never been a consumer model of, come for a year, you get a bar mitzvah, you're done. That's not who we are. And that shows in what we're doing. We had 8 students confirmed last week. If you were unable to make it, our confirmands were as awe-inspiring as ever. An amazing group of young adults. And in a temple where community is so important, it is heartwarming to see how connected they are to each other. In our religious school, we have Madrahim, teenagers volunteering their time and choosing to be here, choosing to connect with younger kids, and consistently showing up. Now here's the amazing part. This year, we had 25 Madrahim. You know what else you get with a strong religious school? 24 B'nai Mitzvah this year, a huge number. As you know, construction of the 405 and COVID brought the closure of our ECC, which was loved by so many members. Despite not having our own ECC, we were able to still fill that need with thanks to our own Rabbi Bernie. We offer a Tot Shabbat on Saturday mornings every month. The Tot Shabbat program is very well attended and brings young families together. It's had substantial growth over the years, and it's dominated by non-members, and it's become a hub for building relationships with young families. This year, we expanded the program, adding in religious school for pre-K and tiny tots, so we've bridged the gap between the Tot Shabbat and religious school. So much so that our religious school is as strong as ever, and we do not have a decrease in number of students despite not having an ECC. And if you have never been to a Tot Shabbat, you need to know it is the cutest thing you have ever seen. Thank you to Cantor Sarah for all your work on that, and to Lisa Burney. Although we've had some challenges this year, it has been a strong year for Leo Beck Temple, and we have every right to be proud of what we have accomplished because we did it together. And now it's time to talk about the budget. A couple things to note here. First, appreciation of our finance committee who worked so hard to get our budget in shape, to ensure our financial success and review our investment portfolio. Thank you to Lori Stein, Jason Rapp, Matt Cohen, Melissa Sohn, and of course, our own Abigail and Ken. Robert.
Nice-sized crowd tonight. Is this on? Nice-sized crowd tonight. It's on. Can you get to full screen? Do you want this?
No, I don't remember how to do it. Go ahead, catch up to you.
Well, Todd's working on that. So I usually like to start my presentations with a bit of humor, but you know, I also feel LA's been in the news a lot, and I'm really saddened by what I'm hearing. You know, having grown up here, I just feel like too much has been happening. LA seems to be sort of the center of it all, between the fires, what's going on downtown, and what we haven't had lately is an earthquake. But I won't. So I will try to carry you through the numbers if Todd can help me get the presentation going. This is why I gave it to him, so I wouldn't have to deal with it. Are you going to get it working?
Yes.
Huh? Oh, I know what you're doing. No, you need to hit control it. You have to hold this. No, you need to get to full screen. I'll go to view. So we got a decent-sized screen this year. The last time I did this presentation in front of our board, we had our usual monitor, which is more like a TV set when you've got to look at numbers. Now, where's my... All right. So I thought it'd be best to start the story at the very end of the story and basically tell you, is it the right? At least the projector's working. There we go. So the numbers are a little bigger than last time, but they're still pretty small. I thought it'd be best to start at the very end, which is basically to tell you our financial picture is quite sound, and it has been sound all these years. When I get up to talk to you about investments and talk to you about the budget and how we're doing, and it will be the same tonight, there's always something about our budget that looks negative, but through every year that I've been up, and this is actually the 4th time I've done this presentation for you all, every year we have a budget that shows somewhat negative numbers, and yet we come out doing just fine. And you can see over the long term, well, not over the long term, but over the last 3 years, our direct financial picture, that is our investments and our cash, have been stable and have been growing. We have operational cash at the top, which is basically the money that we have in the bank to run the temple. And then we have our long-term investments below, which I'm going to talk about in the first part of the presentation, which is essentially our reserve accounts to protect us and keep us healthy financially over the long term. And our assets have grown. Even though it's hard times for temples, even though we've had budgets that have been negative, we've done quite well. 2 years ago, we had about 5.8 million between operational cash and our investments, and as of May 31st, about a week ago, we've got 7.2 million. But the picture is also enhanced by who's coming to the temple, who's belonging to the temple. We had 417 family units, or basically 417 families 2 years ago, and it's grown consistently. Now, I don't have my antennas out on other temples, but I do hear other temples are having a much more difficult time holding on to what they have, but Leobeck has been growing. And so for us in finance, we go through rough spots sometimes when we look at how our budgets go and what might happen in the future. But in the 4 years that I've been the VP of Finance and in the 9 years that I've been on our committee, we seem to be doing just fine. And I'm going to walk you through some of those steps tonight. First of all, I'm going to back up a second. I'm going to talk to you about this second line, the long-term investments. Our long-term investments are basically there for 3 reasons. One, to give us about 4% of that portfolio that goes into our budget every year. And the second is to be a reserve against unforeseen circumstances. And the third, which I basically made this up, which is if we need it for any type of capital investments down the road, we have the resources to do it. And I will also tell you that we have no bank debt. The only debt we have currently is basically our routine accounts payable, which are paid under our normal operational cycle. So we're quite strong financially. But as we look at the long-term investments, it's worth just taking a look at how they've done and how we've used them over the last year and over the last 9 years. 9 years ago, we revamped our investment portfolio and created a whole new idea, and that was basically around October of 2016, which interestingly was about a month before President Trump got elected the first time. And at that point, we had about 4.6 million in the portfolio. We've drawn 940,000 out, which I'll talk about in just a minute, and we've had an investment return of $2,686,000. I told you a couple moments ago that 4% of the portfolio is allocated for goes into our operational budget every year. We have actually not been taking that money because we've been able to balance our budget and use operational cash to cover our operations. That $940,000 that came out was primarily to pay off our City National Bank mortgage or loan that we had to help revamp the whole temple. Back in I don't remember the exact year, I think it was 2018 or 2019, we decided to pay it off and took the money out of reserve. It was about $1.1 million. The portfolio has grown 6.4% on average per year from 2016 till the end of last month. And that's pretty much in target of what we want, because we want a portfolio that gives us 4% spending and also grows with inflation. And if inflation is around 2 to 3%, add that on to 4, and you get to a return of somewhere between 6 and 7%. So we've hit our target. Now, if we go over to the left a little bit and just look at, well, how have we done this year? And I'm reporting on this fiscal year, which began on July 1st. We had $5.8 million in the very beginning. We've added a little bit of money, about $77,000, and the portfolio has generated $532,000 return. We have a 9.1% return. That's pretty decent. Most of that money we made last summer when the markets were moving up quite a bit. But those of you who follow the stock and bond markets know that this year's been pretty rough. And our return since January 1st is about 3.1%. So it's done quite well, and it did quite well in March and April, when all the tariff stuff started happening and markets went down. It was in negative territory, but it was certainly a much less negative territory than markets as a whole. So how we manage the portfolio, how's it done? Our portfolio, it's passively managed. We don't engage in market timing. We don't try to figure out when to be into something or when to be out of something. We have a focus on what's something called asset classes, which basically means we're buying whole markets. We're not trying to say, well, we should be in tech right now, or we should be owning Tesla, or we should be owning any particular one kind of company. We're going to try to have a portfolio that's globally diversified, and right now we're invested in 49 countries around the world. About a little less than a third of our portfolio is invested internationally. About 2/3 of the portfolio is in stocks, about 1/3 of it's in bonds. The portion that's in bonds is in high-grade, investment-grade government securities and highly rated companies. It's primarily there not so much to make money, but to also reduce the risk that we take on the stock market side of the portfolio. We manage the portfolio internally. We don't use an outside firm. And our total expense ratio is 0.2%, which is quite low. The other thing that also is changed in the portfolio about a year ago, and if you were here last year, I talked about it, hadn't quite implemented it yet, is we've adopted a sustainability focus. And we brought the sustainability focus in because we wanted to have the portfolio more closely aligned with our own goals as a congregation. Now, it's not a religious focus, it's a sustainability focus. And what that means is that a large part of our portfolio focuses on companies that are good stewards in these key areas: climate change and global warming, child labor practices, coal production, factory farming, private prisons and immigrant detention facilities, civilian firearms, landmines, and cluster munitions. And what that means basically is, while we're buying whole markets like the whole US market, our funds are going to be whittling down some of the bad stewards in these areas. So for example, a company that is in the textile or the clothing business that imports goods from other parts of the world, they're going to be focused on manufacturing and suppliers that aren't using child labor in their manufacturing goods. Similarly, in climate change and global warming, we're going to be holding companies that tend to be good stewards of the environment. And so we've brought this in, certainly not the entire portfolio as a sustainability focus. However, when we brought this in, we wanted it so that it would not harm returns. And the particular funds that we're using for sustainability track their non-sustainability counterparts very well. And in fact, some of the funds that one of the key funds that we're holding has actually done quite well and better than the S&P 500 index over the last 8 or 9 years. So that is the discussion about the investments. Is there any questions before I go on to the budget? All right. Well, if you have any questions on that come to mind, let me know as we go into the forecast and budget discussion. A quick primer, and assuming that I know that some of you were here last year, and some of you also sit on the board and come to these meetings and also understand how this works. But this is the basic process. The budget is developed now for next year. And so a year ago, when I stood before you, I presented our budget for the 24-25 year that we're finishing right now. And I said that we have a budgeted loss of $250,000. When we get farther into the year, maybe about a month or two ago, we update that budget with what's called the forecast. And the forecast basically says, okay, how have we actually done on the 9 or 10 months that we've already done? And how do we think we're going to do? I mean, we know what our fundraising is for this year. We know what our temple dues are for this year. We know Heroes and Angels, how it did. We know how many people bought tickets. We have all this information. So how do we do? We're projecting a loss of $66,000, something we can comfortably afford. We're $184,000 better than what we budgeted at the beginning of the year, which you all approved a year ago, as did we. So where are we better at $184,000? So we can take our budget, basically, we can take our forecast and our numbers and break it into two buckets, revenue and costs. Our revenue is higher than what we planned. Our operating costs are lower than what we planned. And so we're $62,000 better in revenue and $122,000 lower in operating costs. And so that means that our situation this year is $184,000 better. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, and this is where the sausage is made in the budget process, is we don't really know what the revenue is going to be. We know what the temple dues are going to be because we know how many temple members we have. We know pretty much how many kids are going to sign up for the religious school. We can estimate annual giving, but we've had the good fortune that a number of people have given us extra gifts, some very significant, that really move the paradigm for the temple. And so when we do the budget process, we're making very conservative estimates on revenue, but we're making very solid, concrete estimates on the operating costs. So the truth of the matter is, if our budget's negative, it's because our revenue numbers, we are underestimating them, or we're estimating them based on what we feel confident we're going to get. But when operating costs come in under, it means we're managing what we've got. And also, the fact that it's under, Todd mentioned we had Firewatch. We still have significant security costs. We've had a number of things. We've had to replace the fire alarm, or the main control board. We have a number of things that are in these numbers, and yet we've been able to manage our operating costs, the budget, quite well. And the credit goes to Abigail, who watches all this stuff and actually puts these numbers together for the committee and for myself. So let's just take a quick look at the revenue, because that's the one thing that really drives how the budget's going to come out next year. So what we're looking at right now, and we're still looking at the year that we're in right now. Where did the big changes come in? The big benefits came in donations and grants and annual giving. Annual giving was $367,000. We had a much better number than what we expected. Donations and grants, $155,000 better than we expected. This is primarily due to those temple members that really give us significant amounts of money. It really makes a big difference. Actually, both categories make a really big difference in the success of our budgeting process. We've had other areas that have done well. Our high holidays, a spring event and a memorial wall, they're a little bit higher than what we expected. Our membership dues look lower. It's not because we lost members. It's not because we cut price. It's simply because there were some temple members that needed to have some reduction in their dues. They may have lost their home. They might have had some economic circumstance. That's the only reason why that number is under. Temple activity as a facility usage. I told you I'd walk you through how the sausage is made. Temple activities and facility usage is basically when people rent our temple or rent parts of it, whether it's the film industry that wants to rent our parking lot, or whether it's WISE that wants to use our facilities for their school, or it's families like yourselves who have B'nai Mitzvah celebrations here. Those numbers came in a little bit under, primarily because of facility usage, and we're expecting a decline on that next year too. Our religious school's been fine. The only reason why it's lower is just a normal variance in the numbers. And then the last one, which can be a little difficult to grasp, is what we call internal sources. And it's two key areas. One of them is what's called the 4%, which I touched on earlier. The 4% is the money that the 4% of our reserve account that we include in our budget. And the second thing is the special gift. We have a temple member that 2 years ago gave us $700,000. And instead of putting the money into our investments, we made the commitment to have them, to use the money specifically to grow and thrive the operations of the temple. And so we're peeling off a portion of that each year over 3 to 4 years for specific things, like we're hiring more staff, or we revamped the audio system in the main sanctuary. And so that's included in the 450,000 at the bottom and the 407. The only reason why we have this decline is not because we got less money, but it's simply because on the special gift, we spent a little bit less money out of that 700,000 than we had originally planned. So if you took this 42 out, our revenue is actually up a little more than $100,000. Can you get me back on? There you go. Perfect. So what's influencing our budget next year? We have 2 clergy contract renewals that take effect in July. We are planning to hire a new part-time bookkeeper, but we're going to be using some of that $700,000 special gift to pay for it. Security costs continue to remain high. We have gotten some grants in the current year and in the past year to help pay for it. And by the way, our security costs are significantly higher because of what happened on October 7th. That's going to continue. We're not counting on any particular external support for that, so it's getting written right into our budget. What's not in our budget, but is also a factor for us, is we have an unknown insurance situation come next year. Our insurance policies renew in January, and we have had a period when we were unable to get fire insurance, and we are not expecting that right now, but we may have a significant increase in cost or a reduction in what our coverages can be. We're expecting temple activities and facility usage to decline, and overall our net overhead, we're expecting a more significant increase this year of about 7.8%. And most of the cut and dried items that are in the budget are going up about 4.8 to 5%, but the overall budget this year is going to go up about 7.8%. That's what we're calculating. So what are going to be the outcomes? Temple dues are not going to go up 7.8, they're going to go up 3%. We've held the line on that. We're also not imposing any type of security fee that some other temples have been doing. However, if our budget loss comes to reality, we may have to pull some money out of our investment portfolio. It's a risk that we're willing to take because the only other option is to raise dues, and we don't want to do that. One of the key things, and I said this last year and I'll say this again, is that we want people to have some say over what they do and give to the temple. So by keeping the dues increased to 3%, we're counting on temple members to make extra gifts either through annual giving or for other means. And we saw that in a big way in the current year, and I'm hoping that that's going to continue next year. Todd? There we go. Can you scroll it up? So this is how it looks. So the left-hand column is this year. The right-hand column is next year. This year is a real number. Next year's number is our budget. The top group is revenue. The bottom group is costs. None of us like this number, and we're hoping it's not going to happen. But it's a realistic number, and it's something that we need to be thinking about. The reality is, I don't believe this number either. I don't happen to think that our revenue is going to be down 2.2%. It's only because the revenue that we project in the budget is projected very conservatively, which is why we show a slight decline. When my successor takes the stage next year and is going to be talking about the actual numbers, I'm expecting that we're going to see some improvement in it. But for now, this is what we've got, and this is what we have to work with. There are things that are unknown, and we just have to. We are going with this. Our overhead costs are basically in line. We have a more significant increase here, primarily for some of the reasons that I've mentioned before, but it's pretty much in line with what we are expecting, and it's what we think will happen. The various categories, I don't think we need to go through them one by one, but we are expecting membership dues to increase a little bit. Our donations and grants is one of the areas that we're being very conservative with, which is why we are projecting a decline. Annual giving should be similar to this year, we hope, Brandon and Jesse. The high holiday events are going to be pretty much the same. Religious school is increasing slightly. Our 4% in special gift allocations are going to be pretty much the same, if not slightly a little bit lower. And this is what we have as a budget for the upcoming year that our group is here to vote on and approve, hopefully. And so that is the presentation. Are there any questions? None whatsoever? So this is my 4th year and my last year presenting to you all, and it's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed it. Melissa Sohn, who's going to be taking my place and is in the audience, if you'd like to say hello. Melissa's been on our committee for, I think it's 4 years? Has it been 4? Yeah, and so she's ready to take the helm, and I think you're going to be in really good hands with her.
Robert, after 4 years as our Chief Financial Officer, you've brought us a new way of looking at our finances where people get a deeper understanding of the budget process and the strength of Leo Beck Temple's financial position. While his presentations are great, you should really understand the incredible number of hours he spends behind the scenes working to make our finances work out, and really has responsibility for pushing us into the sustainable investments which align with who we are and what our beliefs are, and did so without impacting our returns on that. Thank you, Robert. So let's talk about voting. Under our bylaws, every family unit has 1 vote. If you are watching on our live stream, welcome, nice to see you all. Thank you for participating. You will vote by texting 310-476-2861. That's the number that you will text to cast your vote. Under our operating procedures, if a family unit just cannot agree, you can split your vote. Just text us and let us know if you're splitting your vote. So, is there a motion to approve the 2025-2026 budget? Motion to approve. Larry Sterling. Is there a second? Joel Allen. Okay. All in favor of approval of the budget? Show of hands, please. I'm listening for the texting. Thank you. All opposed? Any abstaining? There's 1. And with that, the budget is tentatively approved unless there are a tremendous number of people voting online. Our next topic is officers and trustees. These are the amazing people that leave their families regularly to come here to Leo Beck Temple to help govern. They come from all sections of our community to ensure that everyone has a voice and that everybody is represented. You can identify a trustee because they are normally wearing the lovely name tag like I am modeling for you tonight. If you see a trustee around campus, please go to them and thank them for the time and energy they put to make Leo Beck Temple so great. Let them know that they are appreciated. And it's a good time to talk to them about what is so meaningful to you about Leo Beck Temple and maybe something you'd like to see more of. But please find them and thank them. So, first for our officers, Robert, we said thank you. Felicia Lewenstein, who tries desperately to contribute to our meeting, typing away, completing her term as recording secretary. And I know you've all appreciated her work when you reviewed all the minutes. Thank you both. Also, thank you to our continuing officers, Stephanie Cohen, our Vice President of Engagement, Brandon Koritz, our Vice President of Development. Give a wave, thank you. Sue Meltzer, Vice President of Community Impact, Lee Brockman, Vice President of Communications, and our own Tim Shaheen, Vice President of Social Justice. Thank you all. And we need some new officers. For the slate this year, I am very pleased to present to you for President-elect Louis Welkenfeld. We are thrilled that you are ready to take on this challenge. Also, Scott Greenberg, Recording Secretary. And Melissa, please come up. Melissa Son, our new Vice President of Finance. With that, we need a vote. So, all in favor of approval of the slate of officers? Thank you. All opposed? Louis, where's your family?
My daughter is voting against me.
Oh, there you Any abstention? And we approve the new officers. Thank you. We have several trustees that are now completing their term. Thank you to Natasha Belson, Jesse Israel, Marissa Lopez, Jim Berman. Thank you all for the time and energy you put into that role. Also, thank you to our continuing trustees who should be recognized. Lisa, where are you? Lisa Katz is here. I saw her. Lisa, Laura Gottlieb, Melinda Muller, I saw. Thank you for being here. Who am I missing? Laura? Lauren, I saw. Lauren Abrams. Shelley. Jen. Danielle. Wendy. Richard Marks. Thank you all. And we have some new trustees. Please come and join me. Joel Allen. Ted Cohen. Sarah Kaufman. Allison Segan. And Kate Taylor. This is the year for spouses of past presidents. Is there a motion for approval of the new trustees? Lloyd. Second from Lauren. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you all. This Friday night, we will put our vote into action as we install our new officers and trustees at a very special Shabbat. Picnic, bring your own picnic at 6:15, followed by services under the stars at 7:30. Please join us. Okay, there are 3 members of the congregation that deserve very special recognition and thank you tonight. Ted and Yona and Asher. Thank you for the 6 years giving up your time with Iris so that she could be here to devote an amazing amount of time and attention to Leo Beck Temple. Iris is completing I don't. So I don't love this part. Iris is completing her 6th and final year in the president's room. When she accepted the position, we didn't even know what COVID was. It has been a tough job. Can you imagine 3 years of dealing with Lloyd to be followed by 3 years of dealing with me? Iris, I could not imagine a better partner than you. I could not have done this job without you, and we are all grateful to you. So for me, this is what being Jewish means. This is community. We didn't just survive, we showed up. What made this year so incredibly strong is that we were there for each other. And thank you for being here tonight. For some closing remarks, I invite up Rabbi Chasen.
I want to express my gratitude, principally, of course, to you, Todd, for your leadership of the congregation. It has been a time of extraordinary challenge, stretching back, honestly, if you go all the way back to the fire on our campus, which was not all that far before COVID, which was not all that far before October 7th, which was not all that far before the fires, and the spread of anti-Semitism and the challenges in our city. This has not been an easy time to lead this community, and I have extraordinary pride and gratitude to all of you for your investment in this Kehillah Kadosha, this sacred community that we make for one another. We could never have known what was going to be demanded of us during this time. And frankly, as we look to the future and we think back to the very beginning of this meeting, I think that we all are looking with a fair measure of humility at what lies ahead. And not knowing that, it just becomes all the more important that we acknowledge the extraordinary riches that come with being a part of the LBT community. A lot of times people come and join our congregation because they need something that the temple does. I need a life cycle event. I need a religious school for my kid. I want to have a place that I can go for the high holy days. Oftentimes people join to check a box of something that synagogues provide that they need in their life. And then there are the folks like you, and there are so many others like you who discover with the passage of time that there was something that would be missing in their lives above and beyond the box that got checked if they did not have this great gift that perhaps they didn't really fully understand until they poured themselves into this community and discovered just how blessed we are to have one another. And when you look at the difficult times that we have confronted, each and every one of us has had the blessing of knowing that we are less alone as we walk what has been a perilous road on a lot of different fronts. And we know that we'll continue to do so. To know that this synagogue is so strong and so healthy and is led by professionals who devote so much of their hearts and souls and talent. I feel a deep sense of gratitude to my senior staff partners, to Abigail Goldberg-Spiegel, to Sarah Haas, to Scott Goldberg, and to the incomparable Lisa Burney. we are blessed. We don't get to choose the life circumstance that we live through. And a lot of us, I know, of late have been looking at earlier chapters in our lives and feeling like, wow, we caught lightning in a bottle. It was a time that felt that it was like it was blessed, and we perhaps too many of us considered it normal and therefore took it for granted, but we don't do that anymore. It is especially when times are tough that what we are all working together to create becomes not only precious, but desperately, desperately needed. And so to all of you who are Leo Beck Temple, who make this happen, and are here tonight to do its business, to celebrate its accomplishments, and to chart the course for the year that lies ahead, I want to say how blessed I feel to be walking this road with all of you, and my prayer for us as a congregation. This fiscal year doesn't exactly line up with the Jewish year, but it comes a little before. The fiscal year starts in July, new Jewish year starts in September, so most of the fiscal year will be in the new Jewish year, 5786. My hope and prayer for all of us is that whatever may lie ahead, certainly we will do all of our best as citizens, as Jews, to contribute to being a small part of a vast sea to build a world of greater love and justice. But whatever may lie ahead, how blessed we will be to be walking this road together. Thank you all so much for being here tonight.